Good afternoon and welcome to the Springfield College Wilmington Forum. As you know, if you've been with us before and if this is your first time, we're very interested in what's going on in the community and how you can make a difference right where you are. If you're thinking today about how can I do that, let me recommend to you that you take a look at what you've already accomplished. If you have credits from another college, whether it's a community college or a four-year college, and you think to yourself, I need a change, then think about Springfield College Wilmington. We're a degree completion college located in the Nemours building on the 5th floor. My name is Dr. Judith Stang, and I'm the Assistant Dean Campus Director. And if you're excited about being with us today, I'm just as excited with Dr. Sanders and our lovely guests to be with you. But let me ask you this question. Today the topic is hot topics, correct, Dr. Sanders?
That is correct.
I have a hot topic for you. My hot topic is, how can I help you get to where you want to go in order for you to make a commitment and a difference in your community? And so what I would like to suggest to you is go ahead and take a look at what you've already accomplished and give us a call at 302-658-5720. Pay attention today what our guests are going to be talking about with their hot topics, and jot down their name, because if you call us tomorrow and leave a message and tell us who you heard in this forum, we will waive your application fee. Sound interesting? It should be, because it's about you. Dr. Sanders' hot topics today are how do we get people in our communities educated so that they can be in places of change
And become change agents. And what you're going to hear today is, now to March is what month? Women's History Month,
Yep.
right? And so we have three outstanding females here that are going to talk to you about the hot topics in their particular agency and organization. And they're doing some fantastic things. And we want them to share that with you. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, their organization, and then we're going to come back and say, what's hot topic with regard to you? We're going to start here with this wonderful young lady, 1, 2, 3. Aren't they gorgeous?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for having me. My name is Michelle Spencer. I am the Teach Coordinator for Early Childhood Delaware, and we are housed at the Delaware Association for the Education of Young Children, also known as DAISY.
And I'm going to come back and ask you, what is Teach?
Thank you for again also inviting me to participate today. My name is Hanifa Shabazz, and I am the President of Wilmington City Council.
Hi, I'm Michelle Taylor with United Way of Delaware.
Thank you. All right, Miss Michelle, what is Teach? We know the teach meaning teaching people, but is that what that means?
So Teach actually is sometimes confused with another Teach program. So this is Teach Early Childhood. Teach stands for Training, Education, and Compensation Helps. So we work to give scholarships for associate and bachelor degrees to professionals working in early childhood in the state of Delaware.
So, what is the hot topic in DAISY and in Teach?
Sure. So our hot topic is really looking at how we affect early childhood education and having quality care by having quality, educated, and compensated teachers.
And how do you go about doing that?
It's complicated. Teach actually offers, like I said, scholarships. So we pay students to go to school. I pay 75% of their college tuition, pay 90% of their books, reimburse them some travel money, and then they get a bonus at the end of their contract. All we ask is that they successfully complete 9 credits in the course of 12 months.
And we're going to come back to you because I want you to think about how they qualify for Teach. Madam Shabazz.
Yes. Well, with the City Council being the legislative branch of government, everyone probably knows that we're about to go into our budget cycle. And so we're about to go through our budget hearings, and we encourage everyone to send your questions about the budget to City Council so that we can ensure that we get those answers and perspectives of how you think we should handle the fiduciary part of our budgeting. But of course, everyone knows my biggest hot topic is that of the Center for Disease Control's Community Advisory Council's recommendations implementation. We're working diligently to make sure that we have some pilot programs out in the community this summer. We have the support of our chief executives, of our mayor, our county executive and our governor, we have met with numerous organizations. We've met with the school districts and superintendents, and we've also brought the recommendations to the community. So I would like to tell the community that as you hear more about these programs, that we need your participation and engagement into making sure that your children get to those programs and that you work with us so that we have the right necessary permissions and involvement to be able to provide these programs that are recommended through the CDC's investigation to address violence in the city to our young people.
Is there a particular program that is being implemented or being planned that will be directed toward youth in the city?
Well, there are 3 different levels of programming. One is the universal level, and that is so that all of our children, all of us have been affected by some sort of trauma with all this violence in our community. So we want to make sure that all of our children get this universal programming to help them deal with that, because they might not be as effective by the trauma. Then there's another level, which is selective, based on some of the actions of the children, that they might need a little stronger dose of support, positive programming. Okay, and then there's others who have gone down the wrong path, and we see it and we want to capture them before they make that violent step, and that's indicated. And so there will be other type of programs that are directed toward them. They get a little stronger dose of positive support programming. So that requires parental and family and community involvement. Some of the things require signatures from parents to allow us to be able to have access to information as well as to be able to provide this type of service. So that's why I'm saying it's important that the community is engaged and know how vital this is. We are in an epidemic state of continuous trauma that has affected our community and especially our children. And so we now are coming up with antidotes, as we call them, a strong aspirin we're given, which is just nurturing and loving and just positive youth development enhanced programs that will be in our community centers. Not just basketball activities, but other activities going to stimulate the positive minds of our young people.
Ms. CEO of the United Way, you're going to pull all of this together and tell us what it is what is the hot topic with United Way? I know that there are a number of programs that are supported by United Way and United Way is involved in, and one that I frequently use is Stand By Me that we bring to the school. So talk to us about a hot topic, just one, because I know you have numerous.
I know. I was just listening to Michelle and Hanifa, right? If I can kind of pull it all together. I mean, we're really focused on what do we really need to do to increase the young people, right, that have a pathway to success, really from cradle to careers. And so that means, right, we understand what happens in those early years significantly matter, right? Ensuring that our kids are really reading on grade level by 3rd grade is a strong indication of where they'll finish up. And likewise, there's a lot of great work right now happening in the state around pathways and preparing our kids really to go either on to college or be prepared for mid-skill jobs, which are generally at livable wage. But we know then to ensure that more kids that come from high-need communities, that if they're going to be in the count, right, those early years matter. So for us, one of the, I would say, long-term sustainable plans, even to the CDC work, is really ensuring that more young people are reading on grade level. And I would say the hot topic for all of us in the community should be, what do we really need to do to ensure that that happens? I mean, we've been beating on this drum for a long time. You know, I know I'm preaching to the choir, to this group, but, you know, it feels like it's one of those fights we've been fighting, and yet we're not making as much progress as I think we should. And so it's an opportunity really for us to maybe rethink what we're doing, because I had said, you know, what's the definition to insanity, right? Trying to do the same things over and over and expect different results. So now is the time really for us to ponder the question, where's the delta? Where's the change that really is going to happen at that early level?
Absolutely.
Michelle, answer her question, please.
So to kind of add to that and thinking about livable wages, the average child care professional in the state of Delaware last year made less than $10 an hour. So the person that you're dropping your children off to in the morning make less than the person who makes your coffee every morning. And that needs to change. It absolutely needs to change. We need them to be educated and we need them to be compensated to have that livable wage, because most of the people working in our field don't make a livable wage. So National has a couple, the National Association for the Education of Young Children has the Power to the Profession, which is their newest initiative that they just kicked off last month, working to define early childhood education and what it means to be a professional in the field.
How is it that, what does one have to do to become involved with Teach?
To become involved with Teach, you need to be working in a licensed center in the state of Delaware or family child care or large family child care. So as long as you're in a licensed early childhood program, you have to be working at least 20 hours a week in a classroom, and you have to make less than $15 an hour.
Okay, you want to respond to what you think about that?
Well, one of the things that we always talk about money, well, where is the extra money going to come from? And even in the efforts of the Community Advisory Council's program implementation for this upcoming summer and on long term, the question is, where are we going to get these dollars from? Where are we spending a lot of dollars already on support services to our young people that have proven to not be best practices for what our young people need? So, our thrust is to have the dollars reappropriated, because we spend a lot of dollars for treatment, which means our children can't get assistance until after they've already gone down that wrong road and committed a crime or hurt someone. So we're saying take some of those dollars and put it in more preventive and interventive programming. Therefore, then we would spend less dollars on the end, because as we discussed earlier, it's like $17,000 to educate a child, but yet it's $38,000 to incarcerate them. So do we want to continue to spend that extra $20,000 on incarcerating human life, or do we want to save money to nurture our young people from the cradle, to a career life? I like that. So from the cradle to the career. So we just have to make big decisions. And as a policymaker, I ask other policymakers, what is your final intent? If we see what the issue is with our children and our population and our city and our state, I don't understand why we as leaders are not making those changes, which is why I go back to the community again. It's you must hold us accountable. And when we have those kind of meetings about early young childhood reading programmings, or just need advocacy support for issues relevant to our children, we need you, the community, to fill up those halls, and so that we are just not us talking about it. We need to have the hordes of parents whose children we're trying to help. We need you to be there. So I like to keep talking to the community that we can do as change makers as much as we can do, but we have to have you in the room with us to demonstrate that we're not the only ones singing the song.
In addition to that, you talk about parent engagement. It's the family engagement that we're talking about, because it's not always the mother or the father.
Right.
It could be, because what we've been able to ascertain is that many of these children are being raised by grandparents and aunts and sometimes a close relative.
Correct.
With regard to that. So my concern is, what happens to the child? Where do they go, and how can they be helped? And how is it that we can touch upon them? Because we really have to touch the families in order to get to the children. Because when we see them coming into the center, some of them even like basic social skills, how to deal with each other. And no less trying to read and stuff like that, because then they become so involved in, oh, this is mine and this is theirs, because once they get on something, it's like possession. So those are basic social skills that they are dealing with. And I know that the United Way has a number of centers at the places that you have that have children's centers. And I think one of the things that I find very interesting that you're doing is that focus on developing literacy, developing the skills that children need, developing this also concurrently with parents as well, with the family. So anything that United Way wants to push forward as a hot topic?
Well, I think that sometimes, though, I would say we think parents don't show up. And so we saw that through the My Very Own Library program and working through the schools as a key partner, that parents are showing up. Right? And they said that they actually show up when their kids are involved and engaged. And so sometimes I think that we have to make sure we're meeting people where they are in the process. I think the work will require what I call a 2-generational strategy, right? So at the same time you are helping kids, it's imperative that we engage families, right?
Absolutely.
And that we also help to connect them to programs like you're doing at Springfield or Teach or other places in the community, because I think they also need a pathway, one that gets them and lifts them and helps to motivate them from beyond where they are to access resources that exist in the community to move them along, be it the Stand By Me program or workforce development programs through Department of Labor. Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And so I think the resources are there, and it's an opportunity to be able to do that more intently and creatively. And let me speak one real quickly to the budget. I think it's going to be a tight budget season for all of us, right? At the federal level, the state level, the city level, within the communities through grant makers. And I think that this is a time then for us to really come along around how do we really have collective impact? Right. Where's the common aspiration? Where's the common strategies? How do we look beyond our own organizational goals to look to community goals? Where do we want kids and families? And then where do we all put some skin in the table, bring to the table? And what's the resources that we ultimately bring? Because I think that will be doing something different than how we've done it in the past, right? We really have to get out of silos or our space and your space. It really is about kids and families. And if we keep the main thing, right? And sometimes, we sit on commissions and committees and all those other, meetings we go into, right? But at the end of the day, it's really about what change is happening in the life of a child and the families that we're supporting.
The other thing that I look at, we talked about, I think all of us look at our calendars and say, what meeting am I in now? And then you say, okay, was that the meeting? Did we talk about this at that meeting?
That's right.
And because you begin to hear the same kind of issues. And I guess one of the things that I chair the Wilmington Early Care and Education Council, and our piece is about looking at partnerships and collaboration. What money already exists?
Right.
What money
right.
is coming in now? And how is it that we can collaborate? It's co-labor, with regard to that, to see how we can effectively move that forward. Because looking at the grants that come in, if the money is there, and we know we're not going to get much more than what we're getting now, as all you have indicated, what can we do with what we have? And the idea we talked about, there is a prison industry. And if you look at the fact, I think you said something about that, is that that's an industry. The more prisons you build, and I think, what was the cost of, you talked about the cost of imprisonment?
Sure. So they actually look at third grade reading levels to determine the number of prisons that they build each year. And the average cost of child care for a year in our state is about $15,000. And I think you said $38,000 to incarcerate someone in our prison system.
So when you push in that direction, there are related industries to prisons.
Absolutely.
The food truck, the food, and all of those kind of things. So it is about the finance. What we want to know is how we can enhance the quality of services, and not enhance it in addition to enhancing getting them into the service. I like the idea of the books to the parents starting their own library, and I think one of the meetings I was in, and my thing discussed, and how do you know that they're reading? How did you know that they're not stacking the books? So that system of having the child talk about what they've done with their books, and we even talked about putting it on, what is that, Facebook? Whatever that is. And you have to really be careful, in my opinion, about Facebook, because people reveal things on Facebook, and you have to be very careful of if it's the parent or the grandparent who gives you permission to put that on Facebook. So my concern is the quality that they're getting, looking at the resources that are currently available and how you effectively use those. I noticed the city has a summer program for youth. You have about 500 or 600 youth that participate in your summer program.
The summer employment program, yes, they're about to take applications for the summer youth programs. And even with the summer youth program, I believe we're working with United Way. I mean, there's a lot of collaboration.
Yes,
you
do.
just
That's
sitting
why
on
I
this
keep
couch
mentioning
already.
that.
We're all talking about the same,
That's right.
same thing, but just coming at different angles. The summer youth program is also going to be included in the activities of the children that come in for the summer employment program, working with programmatic programs with United Way, and also implementing some of the recommended programs through the CDC. So what our goal is, when we go to touch our children, that we will be touching them with a very holistic approach of providing them not just a summer job, but also with the positive programming that they need as well. And one of the biggest things with the CDC recommendation is that it will be holistic. So we can't do just the child. We have to, you do the child, and if you don't do something dealing with the family, you're sending the child back to that same environment. So our approach is to do a holistic diagnosis or because it's an epidemic. And so if we treat it as an epidemic, that means that it needs to be treatment. And so it's the whole family, which means it's the whole community, which eventually becomes the whole city. And then we can clear up this, not only will we ever be able to clear it up, but we would get it down to a more controllable and better quality of life for our young people and for the city as a whole. Plus, it affects us economically. We can't grow economically as well, but that's a whole nother conversation. If I go there, I won't go
She
there.
has a lot of hot topics around it. You know, the thing that I found, having been involved with child care centers and the summer youth program, and they're being assigned to a center, that one has to be careful in selecting the place where you place them.
Correct.
Because they're supposed to be there not only to be assistance, but to acquire skills.
That's right.
And I've seen them walking all over each other. What are you doing? Because it means that the person who is the supervising person of that, because what you're trying to get them to do is things like punctuality, being on time, being responsible. Those are basic skills.
Correct.
And so it's like knowing how to speak, how to greet, and how to treat and interact with children. So if you place them in places like that, wherever you place them, somebody has to be there to see that they're doing and gaining skills and not just walking over each other and saying, I have a job, and I have a job. So I'm going to go down the line again and say, what is your impact statement that you would like to leave with this audience? Michelle.
So my impact statement is I would like to encourage everyone to join us. The Delaware Association for the Education of Young Children has an advocacy day on May 10th. We will be at Legislative Hall from 9 to 2 or 3. And we advocate for early childhood education, which is actually birth through age 8. So we encompass all the way up through 3rd grade. And we are advocating to our legislators to continue the funding that has helped cover the Teach Wages program, tiered reimbursement, Delaware Stars, all of the things that affect quality early childhood education.
And I would like to, impact statement, I would like to leave to the listening audience is that they get engaged. And that means whether you come out to your civic association meeting, to your PTA meeting, but get involved, because there is a lot of information as you hear that is happening throughout the city. Everyone is working collaboratively together, and we need you as a partner at that table. So that in order for you to be involved, then we need you to become engaged and use your city council representative as a liaison for how to get that information, or to get your point of view to what you want us to do on your behalf as legislative branch of government. Then we continue working with organizations such as these to be able to address your needs and wants.
I just echo that. I would say your voice matters. We need more people to get off the sidelines and get in the game. I mean, this is a lot of challenging work. We got an uphill battle, but there's a difference between impossible and difficult. The work we have ahead of us is difficult, and we need your voice and your muscle.
Thank you so much. You have been great in impacting people, and I would like and appreciate your continuing to do that. And I will come to your meeting and your meeting and your meeting to see that we do that. You know, I'm running out of meetings here. Dr. Stang, would you like a closing remark to their meetings?
You're running out of meetings? Yes, and this is what I would like to say. First, I agree. Everybody's got to get involved. And everybody has to come to the table with innovative, not the same way we've always done it. And so check out Springfield College Wilmington, 302-658-5720. Call us. We're having an information session next Saturday from 10 to 2. Don't miss it. Bring what you have, and we're going to see how we can meet the needs in your future so that you can become more involved in your community.
It's about engagement, becoming and being and consistently engaged.